Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Dakota Hope, who won his fight on LFA 210. Hello, Dakota. How are you?
Hello, Marcin. I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. And just it was less than 2 weeks ago you defeated overall. I think that quite dangerous fighter because his record maybe is not perfect, but he's always game to fight. He got overall some really good wins, and this performance was quite like dominated one. You definitely won all 3 rounds. So if you can tell me, what do you think about this fight, this win? And what can be next for you?
Thank you, Marcin. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me back. And just like we said, post victory interview. And I think that the fight was it was a good fight. Good performance, like you said. Of course, we won all 3 rounds. We did a shutout. All judges agreed on that, unanimously. And it was a great fight. We stuck to our game plan, our fight plan, and we did what we said we were gonna do. We wanted to smother it. It's like a fire. You let it. Fires need oxygen to breathe. We said we are gonna put it in a jar. The fire's gonna die. We're gonna smother the flame. That's why the minute the fight started, we were on them. Start off with a high kick, bring it in, because if you start off with a kick, if you enter in boxing range, you can also get hit with boxing range. But when you enter in with the kick, he has to block a high kick. You gotta. So now we know 2 arms are here. Land. We got our clinch where we need. So it was a good performance. Obviously, it's a lot to work on. One of the things is I felt in there. I could tell like I don't want any more layoffs. A long time. It had been, I believe, 7.5 months since my last fight. Can't have that because my timing definitely could have been better in there. There's a lot to improve on. Don't want to give too much away to future opponents. But as dominant as that performance was, we know it could have been more dominant. We could have been more dominant, and that only comes from being in there. Honing your skills.
And what I think that is important because sometimes there are fighters who are taking opponent on the ground and not doing enough, let's say. But in the end, you him with a lot of ground and pound. You are looking for submissions, so it's definitely you were looking for the finish. But what like about positions? What do you prefer, being on the mount or being on the on the opponent's back? Because you had like both these positions.
Yes, yes. Again, like you said, a lot of ground and pound. It was dominant. We don't just get there. I feel like a lot of guys get and girls these days get on there and they just hold. But the minute we hit that ground, we elbows, ground and pound, body, head, knees to the body. Even you don't see a lot of people do. I do those. And my favorite position would have to be. I love the mount. I love the mount. It's such a dominant position. I feel like mount is a lost art. Of course, uh, a man as well versed as you are in the martial arts and the fighting. It's like mount is a lost art these days. Back in the Pride days, early UFC, you saw a lot more mount. A guy I think has really good mount that was it gets forgotten was Kevin Lee had a good mount. But other than Kevin Lee, I don't see a lot of guys very dominant in the mount position. And I know it's because you can get bumped off the position a lot, very easily. And now you're in a scramble. But I feel like mount is a lost art. I
I
love
re-
mount that position.
I remember that Derek Lewis was able. He was like mounted, and still he was such a strong guy that he was able to push his opponent.
Yeah,
So it's kind of crazy.
exactly. And once you get pushed off that mount, it's like you usually gotta catch yourself with both arms, and now they're rolling on top of you. So it's at the very least, if it's not a reversal, you're gonna scramble. They're gonna get away. But a lot of times you post here, so you can't really grab them like you need to, so they end up getting on top of you, and that's why a lot of guys stay out of it. And like you said with Derek Lewis, a lot of guys can just explode out of mount if they're explosive and good, which Jeremy Henry was really good about exploding, getting out of position. That's why a lot of people can't really hold him down and control him the way we did. And a lot of people who do hold him down and control him, they can't do ground and pound with it. We were doing ground and pound like you saw the whole fight. It was like the first 2 rounds, it was like 43, 45 to like 4 and 8 strikes on his part to our 40 something for the first round. The second round, across 2 rounds, that's 90 something strikes that we outlanded, and he landed like 10 combined to our 90 in those first 2 rounds. I'm not sure about the third round, but I know third round was probably like 30 something strikes as well, to his single digits. I think he had double digits in the third. But it's like, a lot of people can hold him, but they can't do what we do in ground and pound. But that's because we're really good about getting to those positions, and we use our legs, our core, not just our arms to hold on.
And right now, with this kind of win, because of course it was a big one, there are I think that a lot of good options for you. Of course, the perfect one would be like going to the UFC, maybe some contender serious shot. So maybe it's not out of the question. But if the like another opportunity from LFA would appear, do you have maybe opponent, maybe a title in mind that you would like to win?
I agree 100% that UFC Contender Series is. I feel like we right there. I feel like we could get a short notice call up. Definitely something that my manager is at KO Rips is spoken about. We know we're close for that, like you said. But if that doesn't appear next, of course I'm open to fighting again for LFA. I'm open to fight again there. I do have a guy in mind. I wanted to go in the cage and call him out afterwards, but it was a lot going on, and security, how they are at those events. I want a great fight. I would like to fight Javier Reyes, who won in the main event. My plan, because I think we spoke about it before on your show. They initially offered us Lance Lawrence for an opponent. It was supposed to be me and Lance Lawrence in the main event of the LFA 210, the Kentucky card, but he didn't want to fight us. We found out, a couple weeks later, he chose somebody else, which we understand. He's fighting at home. He needs to fight someone who he has the best chance to win against, which is why he picked the other guys. And I even think the original opponent he picked, a Brazilian guy, ended up pulling out, and then that's when Javier stepped in or something. But I said I want to fight the winner of the main event. So Lars lost. Javier won. He finished him. So I would love to get in there and fight Javier Reyes and get in there and finish him, because we know where that would put me.
Yes, and actually Javier is like also one of these rising featherweight. He's a super dangerous guy. He can finish also from the different kind of position. So I think that with also this kind of win, and it would be like perfect if it would be like for the title.
Yeah,
It's like another step closer. I think that you can get to the UFC or Contender Series right now, but with another big win, there will be like even less questions about it.
exactly. I agree 100% with you. Right now, we already there. Right now, with our record, with the opponents we fought, nobody's just like, even the people that fight Jeremy Henry, they don't dominate him the way we did, like that, from start to finish. You know how it is with judging these days. It's very hard to get all the judges seeing the same thing. So, like you said, we right now, we're right there for them. But if they, like I said, I don't want to just wait. So I want to fight this, July. I want to fight again soon. So, July, August soon. So I agree. Your win over Javier Reyes, that removes just, he's 20, his record 20-5 or 21-5. He has a huge record. So great record, great fights, finishes like you saw. That would be perfect to get him, get another scalp.
And after this fight, after this win, like right after, what in this kind of situation you like to do? Like chill a bit, go eat something. Finally, what's like the like plan after the fight?
For me, after the fight, I like to eat because cutting weight and everything. You know how that is. That's like, God, you've been sacrificing so much for so long. And it all works out. But for me, I like to eat. Then I'm back to training. I was back in the gym. Like you can see even see on my story, everyone was posting like, oh, with the champ, But I was right back into the gym, so I eat, but I'm right back to training because I didn't get any injuries in that fight with Jeremy Henry. Thankfully, the plan that my coaches put together, we executed it very good, all of us that night. So we didn't take damage, and that was a big thing. We wanted to finish him, and so we could go right into another fight. Like you said, we were trying to get the finish. I did a lot of ground and pound before I went for the submission because I didn't want him to think, oh crap, he's going for submission and defend hard. So I tried to soften him up with the ground and pound and get in there, and you know how it is when the sweat gets going, and he's not an easy guy to submit. We didn't get the finish, we wanted it, but I was right back in there. I like to eat and right back to training after my fights because I watch my fights and I always see like 1,000 things I feel like I did wrong. So it drives me crazy. I don't even like to watch a lot of my fights afterwards because I can't enjoy the win because I start seeing like, if I would have done this, I could have done this. If I would have done this, I would have had this. And it's hard to enjoy yourself. So I like to wait, like eat and then wait a week to watch the fight again. Just eat and train and then a week, then watch it.
And about weight, because of course you are a featherweight, but how quickly can you make weight? And if there may be some opportunity for lightweight bout, it's like a contender series. Would you also be interested in going division up?
It's crazy you saying this, Marcin. It's like it's like you're right there when I'm talking with my team, because that's a talk we've been having since the fight. It's like if we get something at lightweight, even at the LFA level, UFC short notice or contenders, like you said, we'll go to lightweight because I'm not a fan of cutting weight. I don't like it. I've never liked it. Not because it's like I can't do it. I've been doing it. I'm a wrestler. My whole life, but I feel like when you it's so many fighters that we see, you watch these guys in the gym and then they leave a little something back at the gym that you don't see on fight night. And I feel like it's the weight cut, and I feel like for myself, no excuses, like I feel like a lot is left with that. So I feel like and of course a lot of that also is, when you're not working with like, professional nutritionists like these world class guys are, it's so much, you know what I mean, that we miss out on that we don't know that they know to do. So we making the weight cut harder than we have to. But again, we don't have the funds for that nutritionist right now yet. It's coming soon when we get to that level. But 100%, Marcin, to answer your question, if something comes up in lightweight, I'm all over it. All over it. That's better for me. And they would get the full power and everything I can generate at lightweight. And especially for short notice, I feel like that's the way to go, instead of trying to cut all the way down and then, leaving a lot of yourself in the weight cut and not and being a shell in the fight.
Yes, and even like Charles Oliveira fought for many years as the featherweight, and in the end he was the most successful in lightweight division, and there are a lot of examples of that. So probably it's at like some point of your career it would be like good idea to move up.
100%, I agree with you. That's such a good point with Charles Oliveira. You have him, and look how successful he is there. You have Robert Whitaker. He would move up from welterweight, and it's like a new guy. You can see his body filled out, more power generation, and I even feel like it's one of those situations where even I believe Dustin Poirier used to be a featherweight, and he moved up. Even Max Holloway. It never made sense when he just did that fight. I'm like, dude, that was always the knock on Max. Like he doesn't knock anybody out. He goes up a weight class like everybody had been saying. And like he said, he put the weight on the right way, not just ate a lot like he did for his Poirier fight, the second one. He ate the right way, lifted, got big, and he knocks out Justin Gaethje. Who knocks out Justin Gaethje with one shot? And then he cuts back down, dehydrates his brain, cuts all that muscle off, and then gets knocked out by Poirier. When have we ever seen Max Holloway get knocked out? That it's like you're saying, that right there shows you it's when it's time to move up. And honestly, I think about that after this last fight. I've thought about moving up because it's just some stuff behind the scenes and like how you feel to training camp. When you're going with these guys that are bigger than you and you're feeling great, and then you get to the fight and you're like, there's no way I'm doing this there and then not here. And the only thing you can think of is like what's changed is the weight cut. It's like you don't see any other sport with world class athletes besides fighting where they say, "Hey, let me dehydrate myself and lose like 20% of my body weight and try to perform to the best level the next day." It doesn't even make sense to say that. Like, if we're gonna run from a lion tomorrow, they're gonna be like, "Hey, Marcin, you gotta run from this lion." But the night before you should lose. You need, and the leading up to it, you need to lose like 20 pounds. And you're like, why would I do that? Wouldn't I just go run at my best? That's how I
Yes.
feel. And I want to fight at lightweight, but it's like you don't want to. You want to be smart. That's one thing I like about boxing. When they move up a weight, they don't go and move up against the toughest guy in that weight class. You want to move up and be smart. And take a. You want to move up and be smart. You don't want to just move up and you jump in there with the best guy. You're saying the best guy got better than you, even in some aspects, a whole new weight class, because you got to fill that weight class out. Because you can go up and be like, oh shit, it's not for me. You know.
And closing, like closing topic of your last fight, it's like you had a great entrance music from the movie Ali.
Yeah.
I really loved the scene of the fight from that movie, and the walkout can be great if the like correct music is playing.
Yes. I'm glad you picked up on that, bro. A lot of people were asking me like, bro, they messed me like, what's that song? What's that song? And tomorrow, Sadio, Salif Keita. So I agree that was a great song. I love that song and that scene, like you said in the Ali movie. That was a good movie with Will Smith. But that for me, especially with Muhammad Ali being born in Louisville, Kentucky, and the arena we fought at, that arena, he fought at that arena before his first pro fight. He fought at that arena. So for me, that song was like no brainer, gotta do it because I love that song and it really it's like it sets the mood, like you're going out there and it's like you're going out there and it's the you're in there, you're locked in. It's like you're going out there. I look at it like when I go out there every time, like I'm a gladiator. I'm going to the Coliseum, and I really feel like that really puts that mindset of you're going out here for a purpose. It's do or die.
And do you have a like favorite walkout from any fighter from the UFC? The that when he's walking to the cage, you have to watch this part.
Okay. In the UFC, no, but I do have a one FC fighter that I love to walk out. And he's a kickboxer. I'm sure you know Reagan Ursel from the Netherlands, the Dutch kickboxer Reagan Ursel. I never miss a Reagan Ursel fight. I like how he comes out. He has the immortal mask on, and he has his walkout, and the music always plays like it's like hard style Dutch like club music, and he walks out, it's for me Reagan Ursel's walkout is the best. The UFC walkouts is like I feel like the walkouts have gotten worse since Pride. Like Pride just has some really good walkouts, and I watch the UFC walkouts now, and I'm like, they need me walking out. They need my energy. They need what I'm gonna bring walking out. Is I see a lot of those guys in this country. The only one I can see, the last one I saw that was good was Adesanya when he walked out with he had his boys out there. They did the with the dance and the choreography that and who else was it? John Jones had a good walkout when he finally came back. Was it this? It was either the gun fight. I think it was a gun fight, and he walked out to the "I'm coming home." Coming that song, that was a good one.
Yes, yes,
You felt it matched the moment.
yes. And Adesanya got actually a few of them. That really he one time I believe he walked as the Undertaker with this music. So there were a few.
You're right. I forgot about that. He did have the Undertaker outfit, and when he fought who did he walk out? And it was like they were carrying him. He had like they were throwing the flowers. The women.
I'm not sure which fight was it, but yes, there
It,
were. Yes, yes.
That was crazy. I see you. That's crazy. Okay, if we're gonna say for UFC for sure, it would be Adesanya because that's like the only walkout. Excuse me, for me that's memorable like that. But my favorite for any fighter is Reagan Urso, the immortal. When he walks out, it's just that Dutch electric music is just good, and you walking out to the lights are going. It's good.
And getting back to your career, because of course you are right now a very experienced guy, and when you like watch a UFC fights from especially featherweight division, or even you are when you are looking at the ranking and at featherweight, do you have maybe one fighter in mind that you would like to fight? Of course, maybe fight will happen, maybe not, but when you let's say have this fight in your mind, it's like super exciting matchup.
Ah, that's a great question, Marcin. Yes, I've always imagined myself fighting Max Holloway, and I always saw the card Hope Holloway, or Holloway Hope, because he's probably still gonna have like that he has the name, everything. I'm the new coming in, to take it. But I always saw myself fighting Max Holloway, and all respect, because I love Max. He's one of my favorite, if not my favorite fighter. Max Holloway is probably my favorite fighter. But always Max Holloway. I've always wanted to fight Max Holloway. So for me, definitely is a Max Holloway fight. But now that Ilya knocked him out, I want to avenge Max Holloway and fight Ilya one day. But I would love to fight Max if he's still there. All respect, just because I grew up watching him and just being enamored and just in awe of everything he did. Like I see Max and I'm like, damn. Like I even went through a phase I was trying to, I was fighting like Max. Like I was in the gym sparring like that, and my coaches were like, what are you doing? It's like it's like no, get to the tech. Don't just be sitting. Like get to this. Just get to your elbows in your stuff, your knees, and they're like you just throwing hands right now. But I was just watching Max, and he just how it is when you were watching that blessed era. He's going. You watching him, and it's like, how is this guy throwing this strikes like that? Like for me, the way that they talk about Marab's cardio and what he does, that's how I look at Max when he's just doing these salvos and these vicious combos and he just pop, 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 pop. It's almost like a Sugar Ray Leonard-ish, you know? It's Sugar Ray Leonard-ish. He has that venom and he's just on them. And you remember the days where Max would switch stances a lot more? He would switch stance and be throwing the combo, step out, come in this stance. And it's like for me, Max Holloway, man. And I know if he's still in when I get in the UFC, I know that fight will happen because I'm going in there, I'm going in there and I'm coming for everybody's head. So when I go to that level in the UFC, which is coming, I'm gonna work my way up as fast as I can to get that Max Holloway fight. For me, that's just it'll be a very important fight just for my career spiritually to let myself know like it's time. It's here. I have so much respect for that man.
Yes, in the end, I believe that he became interim featherweight champion in 2016. So it's 9 years ago, and he's still on the top. Of course, he lost some fights in the end, but he fought only against some champions, some beasts. And it's 9 years later, and he still will headline a card, will fight for the title, and who knows, maybe he still will be able to take like a lightweight title this time.
Yes, like you said, he's very like John Jones ish in that way. Like you said, he's just been there 2016, won interim, and still on top. And who knows if he wouldn't have gained all that muscle, went up and then cut back down such a short period of time to fight Taporia. It's like a knockout puncher. It's not like you fighting a volume guy. It's like no, you're dehydrating yourself. You're getting smaller. And you're fighting a guy who can legit put you out. And the whole reason you moved up was because that cut was too much for you. So you move up and go down. I think I think after that Gaethje fight, a title shot at lightweight was his, and who knows, he could have fought Islam. I mean, people forget Holloway has some underrated grappling. Who knows if he could have? I don't know. I for sure know about you. I think he can outstrike Islam Makhachev, for sure. And he just showed knockout power, one punch with Gaethje. So it's like we don't know what could have happened if he would have fought Makhachev, but he moved back down. You know.
Yes, yes, definitely. It was a bit risky, but also the second fight against Dustin was it was like I'm not sure, maybe top 20, top 15 of fights in the history, because I think that still it was like a super crazy fight.
That was a crazy fight. As a Max Holloway like supporter, like that fight was, it was hard to watch. 'Cause you remember those some of the shots he was eating. I was like, like I hope he comes back from that because you took so much. That fight was it's why a lot of people picked against him for that Justin Gaethje fight because they're like, dude, when you went up to fight uh Poirier, that was a scary looking fight for you. You know, he was taking so much damage we hadn't really seen, and he was hitting Poirier, and it's like it wasn't discouraging Poirier. Poirier was just walking through it, and then when he committed and moved to lightweight, you know, he was more of a man when he did that. You know, he had that man strength and he moved up. We see what he did to Gaethje. So, and again, like you said, that's a Hall of Fame fight. You know,
And like you are in the game of MMA for a long time. You know, like good sides of it, bad sides of it. And for you, from like your experience, what's like the best thing about MMA, and the worst, the thing that you really don't like?
you about to get me naming some people. So the thing is with MMA, the best thing for me, what I like is I really like the warrior aspect. I know everybody says that like, oh, a warrior. It's like, all right, bro. But it's like I really like that. I really I don't know how to say it. It's for me, I know it's like okay, you're fighting, it's a ref in there, you guys go back home afterwards. But for me, I just think of it as gladiator coliseum. You know, two warriors fighting, you know, in the coliseum because that's what it is for me. You know, that's what it is for me. That's why I love those kinds of, you know, that historical stuff, researching that, you know, learning how they lived. For me, that's what it is. You know, it's two individuals who sacrifice, who work hard, come from completely different backgrounds, different countries, you know, different areas, and you're doing all this to meet with this individual and see his work and his technique, whose is better. And to me, that's nothing else is like that. You know, for me, fighting is the most beautiful thing next to a woman's body. You know, that, you know, fighting is just it's so raw. That's what we all do. We look at humans, animals. When something happens, we all saw something the same way. Like in our rawest form, we're gonna fight. You know, it's just natural. It's inside of us. So for me to be able to do that with another individual and match with him and see if he has what it takes, and when I know I have what it takes, and just did that and shed that blood and just that primal edge of it, I really feel like that really shows you a lot about yourself inside when you get into those places and you find out so much about yourself. You know, it's with anything when you hardship, it makes you find out some stuff you didn't know about yourself, whether good or bad, but you see it for what it is. And I feel like fighting really does that for me, and that's the beauty of it. You get to see what is your pain tolerance. You know, how do you react when you're tired, you're fatigued, you're not in the best position. You know, this guy's been dominating you. You're not at your muscles aren't at their sharpest right now. You're fatigued. How are you gonna react? You're gonna cower. You're gonna find a way. You're gonna do this. You're gonna build back up and get right back on him. And now have him freaked out like, oh shit, I thought this guy was finished. So that's the beauty of it in me. It's just that it's, you know, all blood and fire. You know, it's just that, just two individuals in there and just trying to see what's inside of each other. I love that side of it, that primal side. And for the worst part, I'll have to be real, it's the politics, bro. It's, and it's a lot of politics to go into this, a lot of um it's so much of, you know, for it to be such a mano man to man sport, woman to woman sport as well, you know, fighting. I even it's not a sport. I hate calling fighting a sport, but it's fighting. You know, it's so much. Oh, I can't offend this person because then this won't happen. So I gotta be this, even though this guy's, you know, and it's like, what are we doing? This is a fighting thing, but it's so many people that the politics side of it, that they have this, so you have to do this to get here, and these people enjoy that power, and they use their positions a lot of times to help this person that might not be as deserving as you are, you know, or to push this person along, because it's so many things that go into fighting, like it's like it's so much that goes into it, and you already have enough on you with the weight cut to train and all this, and then you have these individuals that are not good individuals, that are just not good people, and they leech on and they use it, because fighters, we're not boxing, football, whether it's football from your country, American football, or golf. We're not these sports where there's so much money into it. Tennis. So fighters, a lot of us, unless you got rich folks supporting you, that's not the case with me and a lot of people. It's such a struggle, and a lot of people, individuals, see that struggle, and they have a certain, I'll just say, they might be here financially while you're here. You're a fighter, so they use that, and these aren't the best people a lot of times. And so that's one part of it. A lot of people come in with smiling faces, but they're not good people in this fighting. And that was always weird to me, because you hear about it, as you sure you do too. Like, you see like the Mike Tyson Don King thing. You hear about this with these boxers a lot, and I hear like Sugar Ray Leonard say, boxing's a bad place, a lot of nasty individuals in it, and I never really understood that until I'm fighting, and the more I get into my career, and I hear behind the scenes with certain things, and managers and promoters, and you see this, but then you see what gets said about it, and you're like, that's not the real story. I, I was there. I know that, it's something that happened, with a coach of mine, who's also a fighter, won't call any names, but when you really see how, okay, he wasn't supposed to win like he won. He wasn't supposed to beat that guy. And then you find how the system worked against him to so he couldn't get to the finals and beat this guy. And you see the dirty stuff they did, and how much of higher ups were involved in that, and you see that, it's just like shit. Like, I know it's not the. I gotta worry about a weight cut, losing weight. I gotta worry about how I'm gonna make money, pay for this camp, pay for bills, eat. I gotta worry about fighting this other guy. And it's like the last thing, and then you gotta worry about, before that, you gotta worry about getting past these people that might be working against you. So it's like, it's so much that people don't see that fighters go through. Because you're grassroots. You're talking to guys like me who haven't made it. We're working our way up to when we will make it and get to the top. So you see the struggles, and yourself. It's so much for it to be such a an honorable endeavor with fighting and putting everything out there in front of everyone, and just seeing who's better. And there is so much nastiness that goes on that has nothing to do with fighting itself, and it's just politics, and that's part of it. You know.
So I hope that right now in your career there will be not a lot of politics, but only like big fights, big opportunities, maybe LFI title, maybe some contender series shot. Because I think that it's your time. It's good time for you to be challenged by like the best featherweights or even lightweights in US, in the world. So I hope that your next fight will be definitely a big one.
Thank you, Marcin. I know it will be. You're putting that good energy out there. I'm putting it out there. So and when you're putting that good energy together, there's one thing you know about energy as well as I do. Like, it's something the way that stuff works in the universe, but opportunities come up when you have your name is in a lot of different mouths, or on a lot of different minds. The performance we just put out there versus a dangerous guy. Something big is coming for sure. And of course, thanks to you for allowing me to, have this platform, and putting that out there as well, because that's one thing I feel like MMA needs more, is journalists like you who do the work like that. I think that's what's gonna make us with these other sports, and get us there, because when you're doing the stuff like you're doing, you're getting the stories out. you're making that stuff known, you're doing those things, and it's like you're getting that stuff out there. And also, like I said, you are also, a way to stop a lot of the dirtiness and the bad stuff from bleeding over into fighting, because that's the beauty of journalists. They're reporting, they're putting out there what a lot of people don't want to put out there because they want it to stay hidden in the dark. So, it's a huge thing what you do with that, and I know you're gonna grow even higher and higher like that. We're gonna be having the same interview, when I'm in the UFC. After before a big UFC fight, and then another post victory one after I win it. So for sure, big things are coming. Without saying too much, we already have our name in some people's mouths to make some moves at that level. But it's like you said, now it's just a matter of we're gonna get a short notice. We're gonna get on contenders. But for me, like you said, I want to get in there again. Lightweight, featherweight. I know Javier Reyes just fought. I think he fought what 3 or 4 times already this year.
Yes, I believe 3.
3. So I don't think he took too much damage in that Lance Lawrence fight. But again, I don't know what he went into with that fight. He had an injury, but I would love that fight. And I think it's a great stylistic matchup for me, and also for the fans. And I know big things are coming. I'm looking forward to. I want to fight again soon. Hey, maybe even KSW. Let's go. I want to go to Poland. KSW, what's up? I see you at Saladin Parnas over there. I see that. I watch KSW. I like KSW. So, I'm down to come fight in KSW too.
Yes, definitely. It will be like great to see you there
Yeah.
too. And thank you for the time and for conversation this time. And hopefully we will catch up again soon.
Thank you, Marcin. You're welcome, and thank you. I appreciate it. It's great talking to you always. You always know how to ask some good questions that are gonna make me think before I answer, and it's good and good energy. So I'm glad we're doing this again, and I look forward to doing another one. We get a fight announced soon, very soon.